fear just pull me away, pull me away. Secret fantasies of me. Will they ever see the light of day, light of day? I don't know where you are, but I will find you. I will find you. So if you're out there, just run until the edge and fall into me and see where this could end. Make our own life and leave this world behind. Can you hear me? Do you feel me? There's not a single day that passes without you on my mind. Not even 1 minute can end up before you come around. I yearn for the days when I see your face here before me. I long for the times you held me in your arms. Whoa. I wish that you were here to give me everything I want, but I know that life's unfair and we can't always have it all. Oh, oh, I wish that you were here. Oh, oh, I wish that you were here. 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 There's not a single day that passes, not even 1 minute can end up. I yearn for the days when I see your face here before me. I yearn for the times you held me in your arms. Whoa. I wish that you were here to give me everything I want, but I know that life's unfair and we can't always have it all. Oh, oh, I wish that you were here. Oh, oh, I wish that you were here. I wish that you. I wish that you were here. I wish that you. I wish that you were here. 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 I wish that you were here.
Next time you do this, you could be doing this. How?
again, and welcome to tonight's college football playoff review live stream of what we saw and why we saw what we saw. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and take a look at who we've got in the channel with us. What's going on? All right, so we got Patrick O'Connor, our resident troll. Appreciate him being in here, sir. Then we've got Donovan Thibodeau, Iceberg Players, Michael Love, Sarah Crane, one of my favorites, and we got a few others in here. So we'll get more as we come along. So, all right. So how's everybody doing? Obviously, there has been some. It's probably one of the. I won't say the most controversial, but it's certainly been an interesting day or two with everything that's been going on. So give me a second here. Let me close some of this stuff out. I want to make sure that we're got a nice clean stream, so stand by for just a second. Stand by, stand by. There we go. All right, so looking at what we've seen so far, I think I got it fixed. It's my grandma's basement, as Uncle Lou would say. So, still trying to get some of the bugs kicked out of the system. So what's going on? How about them Dogs at number 4? I know a lot of people's upset about it, but realistically, if you think about it, and we'll wade through it, and we'll talk about why the playoff committee did what they did, picked who they picked, chose who they chose, and maybe what they were thinking inside that room. Obviously, we don't get the opportunity to see all of those things the way we want to, so we're just going to have to go with it the way that it is. All right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and flip screens here to the next scene so you guys can see the whole list here. So obviously, we've got LSU at number 4, Ohio State at number 2, Clemson at number 3, UGA at number 4, Bama 5, Oregon 6. Let me just touch this up just a little bit there. Oregon 6, Utah 7, Minnesota 8, Penn State 9, Oklahoma 10, the Gators at 11, Auburn at 12, Baylor 13, Wisconsin 14, Michigan 15, 16 through 25, not really relevant at this point unless you're counting Notre Dame's loss to Georgia as being part of the relevant story. So, excuse me. That having been said, let me get this back up. Hey, what's going on, Eli James, man? I really appreciate the super chat, sir. Thank you so much for that. It really helps. It allows me to continue doing what I do. Auburn, home of the toothbrush. Anywhere else, it would have been called a teeth brush. Well, sir, I certainly can't deny your logic. So, oh, wow. Mr. Eli James is the man of the hour, the tower of power. I really appreciate the congrats there, Sarah. Let me hit my my peppermint chapstick here.
I just got an ace.
Nice, dude.
Oh my god.
Jason Jermaine Dunbar said trucking ICC says I heard Alabama's pleading the fifth. Yeah. Out. Patrick O'Connor says rigged. In case you guys don't know, Patrick O'Connor is not a big fan of UGA, which is fine. We appreciate all those fans that don't like us, and it keeps us in the mix. Anyone want a box? Uncle Lou, Uncle Lou's in the channel, one of our moderators. I appreciate him being here. If you guys don't know who Uncle Lou is, please go check out his channel. You are in for a treat. One of the most intelligent college football players. College football commentators that I've had the pleasure of speaking with. And Uncle Lou will be glad to speak with you too if you will call in his live show. I believe he has a live show. He does 3 mornings a week, and he does 2 live shows at night along with his live stream over on the Patreon page for Uncle Lou. Go check him out. Great guy. So now a lot of people are pretty upset about this college football ranking. Most notably, the Alabama fans are pretty upset about it. Oh, it's Uncle Lou here. Hold on, guys.
90 proof.
Oh, we got 90 proof for Luther. You there, sir? I'm running off of this rat trap of a creation of a phone system, so y'all bear with me.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. Here.
Well, we got to get it figured out, guys. Give me a minute here.
Your call has been forwarded.
Well, we'll get that back online here shortly, I'm hoping. We tried to get a call here from Mr. 90 Proof for Luther, but unfortunately it didn't come through the way I wanted it to. But we'll get back to it. As you guys can see, the phone lines are open 770-765-2428. If you guys want to call, give me a call. I end up having to call you back, but we'll get you on the air. So there's quite a few people in the state of Alabama that are not very happy about this ranking. I think this is probably about the most accurate it could have been. There were some historic changes that were made yesterday, whenever this list came out. The huge jump coming from Minnesota. I think they jumped from 19th to 9. Just an incredible jump. Never seen anything quite that dramatic before, so it's pretty stunning. And yet the people that are Minnesota fans, I guess, are wondering why they didn't jump higher. You know, if Penn State would have lost, or excuse me, if Penn State would have won, or they throw all these other wild scenarios out there as to what could have happened. But at the end of the day, I think the committee got it right. Looking at some of the teams in the top 10, this seems to be probably the strongest teams there. And you can make arguments for Clemson being 2, Ohio State being 1, LSU being 2. But I think the biggest rub is coming from a lot of people at the UGA sitting at the number 4 spot. That number 4 spot, for whatever reason, is giving a lot of people some heartburn. And they seem to be looking at the fact that UGA has this one terrible loss, and it was just almost unexcusable loss is what some people are saying. Keep in mind that what happened in this game was UGA kind of hurt itself, which is no excuse. But, I mean, it was a game that we should have won, but the fact that it was still tied at the end of regulation, the team beat us by one score, I think it goes to show that UGA could have and should have won that game. I think that's part of it. The other part of it is that Georgia's strength of schedule has helped them tremendously. Are you about to have a hissy fit over there? Are you okay?
No, I just got 3 aces in my Rainbow Six Siege game.
Awesome, dude. I'm happy for you. I'm trying to figure out why this thing is streaming at such a low quality. Anyway, so looking at the rundown here, some people are talking about how other teams have had almost identical schedules to Georgia and have proved to be better off than they were, or better off than they're listed. But for some reason, UGA is just not getting the whoa tide. It took me a second to put it together. Catch you later, Iceberg player, man. I appreciate you on there. You get there next year. I think the other thing that a lot of people are really missing is that it's UGA's defense that forces other teams to look at them and go, wow, that's got to be an impressive team. It hasn't been too many years ago that your national title games weren't these 55 to 45 games. They were like 27 to 20. I appreciate the vote of confidence that's there, Master of Dreams won. Oh yeah, they're coming from everywhere, man, and that's fine. I can handle them. If they come out of the woodwork, let them. As soon as their team loses or UGA loses, they'll come back. Excuse me. As soon as UGA loses, they're out here in droves. But the moment that their team loses, they're gone. So Speaking of which, there is a Gators fan in here. Greg, I believe is his name. He actually shows up, and he's pretty fair, pretty decent. Dwayne RTR. I haven't seen him get upset too much. Have you seen the latest Tittle games? No, I have not, Patrick. I'm not sure. I think a Bama fan is trying to call in. Well, I'm on standby. I don't know what's going on. War Eagle and good luck and all of that, sir. People putting up 40. I mean, the old saying goes, defense wins championships, and UGA has a rock star defense right now. We had one bad game. That's really all it was. I think our offense does need to find a little more oomph. Have I seen the latest title games? Yeah, that's why I said, Patrick, that if you look back, except for the past few years, you'll see that there's quite a few games where it was not these giant scoring games. They were, mid to low 20s. What's up, OG Fran? Plot twist, UGA wins it all. That's not a plot twist. That's been the plan all along. Thank you for the super chat, OG Fran. You're always in here, and I really appreciate the support. You need to be better. You need better wide receivers because we can't keep relying on Lawrence Cager. That is also true. William Metcalf, Lou sent you. I appreciate that, sir. Lou is a great guy. It's not me, it's Uncle Lou. Appreciate you joining the channel, sir. We certainly appreciate the support. I really appreciate you guys joining the channel and jumping in here and giving us some stuff to talk about. But I think the big reason why UGA is the number one, is the only team in the top 4 with 1 loss, and there are undefeated teams that are in the top 25 that are not in that number 4 spot, is because I think if you look back over recent years, UGA has always been able to kind of hang in there, at least since the days of Kirby Smart. Negate all the years of Mark Richt where we would get in big games and lose, like Notre Dame. What's going on, Ball Bigfoot? I appreciate that, Uncle Lou. Lou, I'm not sure why it's not going through, sir. I believe I'm going to send you a quick email with my actual cell phone number, and your number will, let's see if we can get that going. Do me a favor, guys, while I'm trying to get this thing up and running, if you guys would be so kind as to, go ahead and share the video, I would greatly appreciate it real quick. Minnesota's legit top 10 team. Respect us. I don't disagree that they're a top 10 team. Anybody that is all right, hopefully this works this time. We got Uncle Lou call. I mean, maybe it's Luther. This is Big Dog Brett. Who we got here, sir? What's going on, 90 Proofer? How you doing, sir?
What day is it?
It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, Luther.
Oh my God. Okay. Look, listen what Luther tells you. I had an accident. I had an accident Saturday evening.
Yeah. What?
It involved a squirrel, duct tape, and a bottle of Jim Beam.
Not again, Luther.
I know. I know my woe tides lost on Saturday.
Yeah.
I just woke up. I need to know. I need to know from you. Is the woe tides ranked 3rd or 4th?
Well, Luther, they're ranked 5th.
What the hell did you just say?
I said they are ranked 5th, sir.
unacceptable. This is unacceptable. Make me a cheese sandwich, lady. I'm clearly on your phone.
Oh, does the cheese sandwich go good with Jim Beam, Luther?
There. Get back in your cage.
What?
Get back in your cage, Bear.
What?
I'm sorry. Who is this again?
This is Big Dog Brett, Lou. What did you do with that squirrel?
Oh, God.
What did you do with the squirrel, Lou? I mean, Luther.
He's back in his cage. Don't you never mind. You worry about squirrel. His name is Bear. He has a name. Name is Bear. Pet squirrel. Get back in your cage, Bear.
Luther, are you going to be okay after that devastating loss? Are we gonna?
Saban, put your tail down and don't point that at me.
Oh no.
Put your tail down.
Luther, what color is that squirrel?
That's a skunk. Saban is a skunk. Bear is a squirrel.
Oh man, we got to get you some help, Luther.
My cheese sandwich is later. You need to recheck the rankings. There's no way that my woe ties are in good place. Bye.
Bye, Luther. That guy, man. We've got. We may have to have a search party for Luther later. I'm sure he's gonna get into it pretty heavy. Man, what an interesting individual, Luther. Oh, golly. Oh, 17 titles, Luther. 17 titles. Somebody just tried to call in here. Let me go ahead and give you a call back real quick. Let's see. Stand by for college. Not college, college. So let's see. Hopefully this works out pretty good. I appreciate that, Carson. Who have they played, Luther? I hope he doesn't get that squirrel and Saban mixed up. That could be rough. Yeah. Phew, man, what a rough day that would be. Oh. So you guys are getting to enjoy some of the fine commentary. I got home a little late today, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to prep. But basically, what I wanted to get out there and talk about was the big gaps between some of these teams and their ability to get into the playoff. There's a ton of talk out there. There's a ton of talk out there of all the different scenarios that different teams could get into. And somebody even sat down and said they thought it might be a possibility for a 2-loss SEC team to be a championship team. With that having been said, I don't think even a 2-loss SEC team would get in. The amount of cannibalization that would have to go on for that to happen would pretty much kick anybody out, even LSU. The GOAT said we can't score 0 points in the first half like Kentucky, and dropping passes LSU will embarrass. I'm guessing you say LSU will embarrass us. Appreciate the thumbs up, guys. It really does help the metrics in the channel and pushes us up all over the place. Auburn can. So, for those of you who don't know, I do have an alter ego as well, and as soon as we get somebody here to call in, which let me do this. Let me switch to this. Bama is done unless something unbelievable happens. Yeah, Bama's pretty much out of it. I mean, there's really not a whole lot that they can do at this point to get back in the mix. Whether you're an Alabama fan or not, that's not trash talking. That is just the state of the union for Bama. Bama's done. What I have noticed is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's see if we can get one here.
accept, press 1. The voicemail, press.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me? This is Big Dog Brett.
What's going on, Brett?
Hey, how's it going, man? How's your night treating you, man?
Going good so far. Doing some homework.
I hear you. So what's on your mind, sir? What did you want to get off your chest?
I was wondering, what do you think about Demetrius Robertson? I mean, when he transferred from Cal, I figured he was going to do really good at Georgia, but I haven't really seen it like I thought it would.
This is a topic that I have I've actually kind of talked about a few times. D-Rob, for whatever reason, when he played for Southern Cal or UCLA or whoever it was a California team. He put up some ridiculous numbers. I mean, huge number of touchdown catches, huge number of yardage. Had to go through a process of getting a waiver just to be able to play for UGA. Got approved for the waiver, came to UGA, and then didn't play. I was furious. Kirby Smart came out and said in a press conference that the reason that a lot of these guys weren't playing was because they wouldn't block downfield. What happened, Lou? So that the blocking downfield, which I thought to be absolutely ridiculous, was the if you got a guy when it's 3rd and long, obviously it's a passing down. You should be able to line that guy up out in the slot and let him go and throw to him and let him make a catch. But for whatever reason, they wouldn't play him. I'm starting to see more and more of him involved in the game, but I think that our play calling is a lot different than maybe what UGA fans have been used to and expecting over the years. Some of these high-scoring offenses that we've had, but we haven't been able to win big games. The more that I watch Kirby Smart's teams, the more I've seen that the scoring is kind of starting to come down, but the defense is going up dramatically. And I think in the long run, that's going to help our team. It looks a lot like what Bama used to look like 5 or 6 years ago. Lou said, what's that? Oh, yeah, the defense is, yeah.
Yeah, the recruiting's starting to catch up big time as far as like 4 and 5 stars on the defense.
Oh, my God. So apparently Luther Squirrel just stole his cheese sandwich, and Luther is chasing him up the street wearing nothing but house shoes and a plaid hat. Get it on video, Lou. Oh, we got to see that. Luther's going to jail again. Oh, man. So
What do you think about White? What do you think about his production this year?
About whose production?
Zamir White.
Well, I think Zeus is in line. What's going on, Mr. Bombi? I think that Zeus is he's still a freshman, right? And
Right, yeah,
I think that there are teams where if you're a 5-star running back and you show up on campus, you're going to play immediately. I still think Georgia's offensive line, as good as it is of protecting Jake Fromm, is not as good at opening up holes like we used to be for our running backs to run the ball. And I think that's one of the reasons you've seen some of the gaps not be as big. I think that our running backs, we certainly have the talent, but for whatever reason, we can't seem to get those holes to open up before. I think that's a shift maybe in the defensive mind of Kirby Smart to create it that way to maybe protect the quarterback a little more. I don't know why we're not quite getting the penetration as much as we used to. New to football.
If you go back,
Go ahead.
if you go back to 2017, specifically against Oklahoma, all those holes that were opened up for Michelle and Chubb to run through, you don't really see that as much this year. But, to be fair, Oklahoma's defense wasn't great, but still, we had rushing plays for just wide open to the end.
Yeah, and I mean, you can go back and you can look through every single game that we play. I appreciate that, Tim Mathis. You can go back and you look at every game that UGA has played in, and you will find plays where there are receivers wide open. And the more that you watch UGA, the more often you will see that Jake Fromm does this. I personally believe that Jake Fromm, 99% of the time, his receiver is predetermined before he ever snaps the ball. And that's why there's so many players downfield that will be just completely open. A 15-year-old could throw the ball to him, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't see them. And to me, he's a great game manager, but I think he lacks vision. I know he has the arm strength. I've seen it against Oklahoma, but at the end of the day, we've got a lot of work to do in being able to throw the ball. Yeah,
He
Uncle.
needs to trust himself more.
What's that?
He needs to trust himself a little bit more to make those throws.
I don't know if it's him trusting himself more, or if it is maybe a conversation that's had between James Coley. Uncle Lou says UGA has a chance. That's more than 123 out of 130 teams can say. 2 questions: who is your team, and what do you sing? Yeah. So who is your team? You're obviously a Dogs. I don't know what do you sing? Uncle Lou's got me hung up on something here.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Actually, James, I'm getting over a cold. If you go back and you watch I think it was last Sunday's stream. I was pretty sniffled up. I guess CC sings. CC sings. Fields leaving UGA was the worst thing that has ever happened to UGA. If UGA had Fields instead of Fromms, they'd be undefeated. CC sings. I would disagree. The reason I would disagree with that is because the offensive play style that we have does not fit Justin Fields at all. We would have to completely remodel the entire everything we have to fit Justin Fields. We tried plugging Justin Fields into what we do, and it just didn't work. So, hats off to Justin Fields. He's a generational talent. He's playing his behind off in a program that he was comfortable with. I think the same play scheme he had in high school. I mean, he's doing great. I don't hold that against the guy. But I also don't think that if he was here at UGA, that we would be able to utilize the talent that way. So you said Chris, right?
Yes, sir.
What else you got for me tonight, Chris? Is you good to go on that?
That's about it. Tell Little Dog Brett to get one of them apples for me.
I'll do that, man. You have a great day, man.
See you.
See you, bud. So, for those of you who don't know, let me roll back up here. Mr. Bombi is my son, and he is he usually plays Apex or Fortnite. He's now playing Rainbow Six Siege. He's doing some streaming. If you guys want to go check him out, if that's your thing, or that's your son's or daughter's thing, or go ahead and check him out, and hopefully you guys like it. Matthew, you're safe in Bama wearing UGA gear. We like you guys. Michigan wins out OSU in the college football with 1 loss. Minnesota losing 2 games in the Citrus Bowl. Michigan to Pasadena. Lock it in, peeps. Tope Daddy. That sounds like a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. I got a little bit of a cold I'm getting over, Feltro, yes. So I'll be fine, though. I'll make it. So one thing I must point out is the fact that our defense hasn't really had a bad game yet. 2018 puts up 36. Auburn, 2017, Auburn puts up 40. One game we lost. We only gave up 20 points. Yeah. He's a Clemson fan. Just don't think it's a year for UGA. I think that every team's offense is capable of putting points on the board. But is every team's defense capable of keeping points off the board? And I think that's where you make a big difference. I think if your defense is good enough, and I think you could argue that UGA's is, I think you could also say that Clemson's schedule is just it's a cross between the Walmart second shift and the line of people at the DMV is mostly who Clemson's been playing. Thank you, CJ. It's a pleasure having you on, sir. If your team can keep points off the board, and granted, Clemson's got a great defense according to the stats, but until they play somebody of caliber, it's hard to really say. And not saying that they won't come out and absolutely destroy somebody. Ohio State already did it. Ohio State already did it. So, Clemson, Ohio State, or UGA, one of those teams is winning it all. Why? Only contenders with real defense. I agree. Ohio State, to me, if you told me tomorrow I had to pick a team to play, or if you told me tomorrow I had to pick a team that I would just be giving a W on, and then I'd have to play the other three, I would pick Ohio State to be my gimme. I would say I would take a pass on Ohio State. Go ahead and give me that W. I think we'd have a shot with the other ones, but I think Ohio State has a good chance of beating the brakes off of everybody they play. That team is incredible. They played Wisconsin and made them look like a bunch of middle schoolers. I mean, they just dominated them in every fashion of the game. This was a team that's still ranked high. Well, I think they're still ranked in the top 15, and I mean, they beat them like a drum. Yep. Part of the 420 crew. Where do some of these people come up with some of this stuff? I don't know. But if we look at, this is the top 25. LSU. Let's see who we got here.
My name is Jake.
Jake.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Hey, Jake, you're on with Big Dog Brett. What can I do for you, sir?
Hey, I just want to thank Uncle.
I'm sorry, you broke up there again. Can you try that one more time? I'll just stand by a second if you can hear me. Season's greetings to the Athens Dog Pound without the hedges. I don't know. We lost him somehow, guys. Maybe he'll call back. OSU is my number one in postseason, most complete. They definitely seem to have a lot of stuff put together. They look really good. Let's do some shout outs to some of the people here in the list here. Obviously, Felcher 19, CC Singh, Sarah Kane, CJ Davis, Michael Love, Casey Thompson, Tim Mathis, Dwayne RDR, CJ Davis, Dennis Wilson, Salty Dog. Hey, what's going on, sir? Glad we got you back in here. Tope Daddy, and the GOAT, Jake from State Farm. I see what you did there, sir. I see what you did there. So, a lot of people have been asking me about that. Was that you that called, James? Try calling back in, man. I don't know what happened with the phone. Dan Mullen, the one and only Beaker, has joined the show. What is up, Beaker? Oyolu Plap, what's going on? I am Jamel. Go Dogs, sick 'em. Woof, woof, woof. Cyrus and Knox Bowen. How about them dogs, sir? So, it's me again, Margaret. Hey, Ray Stevens clap back. No shout out. Oh, James Willoughby. James, the man Willoughby. He's always in here. Misses my streams, but every time he does, he'll leave me a nice letter saying, hey, you missed me. So, I kind of have an alter ego, and you guys are probably going to get to see him debuted in the Auburn video. And so I'm going to give you guys a little taste of that here in a little bit. You reckon you got any more of them quarterbacks in there? Mm-hmm. We done went down there and tried to get one out the transfer portal, but we ended up losing one. You guys might see him make an appearance for the Auburn game. I think it's going to be an interesting game between UGA and Auburn. I think you could argue that Auburn is a better team than they're given credit for. I think they have a really good defense. I think their weakness is certainly going to be their quarterback. But I think it's going to be similar to Kyle Trask, where you see a player who's not used to having that kind of defense in his face. So, yeah. That's right, Dwayne. Mm-hmm. what you made them making happen. We done put it together. Let's see who we got right here.
Jimmy, Arkansas. To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
What are you doing there, Jimmy?
How's it going?
You're doing all right.
Man, our defense is spectacular this year.
I'd have to say them Dogs are doing pretty good.
So how do you think that if we do win out, we fare against LSU in the SEC championship?
Well, the good news is that by the time we get down there to play them, they probably be pretty tired. They done played Alabama. And they did all right, I guess. But I think we got a pretty good defense. And I hope that by then we be done figured out how to get the run down the ball.
Yeah. Is there any way you could pull your pants down and show your penis on the street?
What that? Say that again?
Can you show your penis on the street?
Oh no, can't do that. Done been to jail one time for that.
Oh, damn.
How about you? Had you ever done that?
Fuck niggers.
Well, I hope you're smart enough to not put your phone number on here, because I'm heading to share it with everybody. That's about the dumbest thing I think I done heard anybody say. The only problem with when you learn to talk like that, end up trying to roll back out of it. Yeah, I appreciate it, Lou. It's to me, it's one of the most ridiculous things that you can hold against somebody. It just doesn't. It says more about you than it says about me, when you say something like that or whatever. So. I like for everybody to have a good time. I think college football ought to be something that brings everybody together. There's not a football team out there that doesn't have every color, creed, nationality, background. It's just a big melting pot. And that's one of the great things about college football is the moment that ball is snapped, everybody is everybody's brother. They're all in it together. And there's really, if you have any kind of common sense, there's no need to try and get it.
Jake. To accept, press.
Who we got there, Jake?
Hey, I know Uncle Luke can hear me, and let's just have a threesome, okay?
That boy's pretty weird, but I like the way he talk. Well, Uncle Lou, I done made you the moderator. Hopefully you done blocked him. So, sometimes I get really upset at people like that, and sometimes it's just so blatantly obvious that you're playing with somebody or you're dealing with somebody who's not playing with a full deck. So, hey, there's Artie. What's going on, man? There's been quite a few of the people here in the stream's been looking for you. He's going to be at the Auburn game. Oh, man, I wish I could go. That's going to be a great game. That's going to be, hopefully this is and I believe it will be, this will be the first, Plapp was the orphan that never got picked. Why do I not doubt it? Well, that's not fair.
There's tons of people that deserve a better opportunity than what you see right here. But he's not one of them.
There's tons of people out there that just all they want to do is stir up stuff. But when it comes to college football, I enjoy getting here with everybody. Hopefully, back to what I was saying, hopefully this will be the game where UGA is able to break that streak of Kirby Smart's failures beating SEC West teams on the road. It just is what it is. Big Dog Brett knows a couple of Bama fans that won't tolerate smack talk against our UGA fan. We will send him to pound saying, there you go. He's never getting out of the pit of misery. Dilly, pit of misery. Shout out to Alpharetta, Georgia, go Dogs. So I've been all over the United States, and there's Dogs fans no matter where you go. But there's also Alabama fans no matter where you go. And so it's kind of interesting when you see Bama fans that are actually, to me at least, it's interesting when you see Bama fans that are from Alabama. Not to say you're any less of a fan if you're not from there or whatever. Interesting story. I have a friend of mine who is from Omaha, Nebraska. Never been to Georgia except 2 football games that he's flown into town for. And this guy was almost as big a UGA fan as I was. So, I mean, that's one of the great things about college football. You can be a fan of any team for any reason. There's no right or wrong way to fan. I love seeing you guys in here. It makes my night. I got off work and I rushed home because I wanted to do my live stream. Not because my live stream is anything exciting. It's just because I get to hang out with you guys. It's fun. He said we need to pass in this game to win. Well, the good news is, Radiant Noah, is that UGA has actually shown a propensity in a past game or two where we can actually throw the ball and still win the game. It's encouragement. It's progress. Yes, encouragement. Use it. Yes. So you can see tons of tape against UGA against Florida where we had to throw the ball to win. It was just we weren't doing a great job of running the ball, but. I think UGA is okay, but I don't see us beating LSU. Also, Auburn could upset us, so we got to step it up. I absolutely believe that if Georgia falls asleep against Auburn, its defense can make Georgia struggle. And if we make a mistake or two, it's certainly possible for Auburn to upset us. However, I know what a disastrous coach Gus Malzahn is, so I'm leaning more towards UGA. The defense is extremely stout. At Big Dog Brett, are you in Jasper, closer to Ball Ground, or Canton? I'm in Canton. I live just a little bit north of Jasper. Signed Mullet to a 25-year contract, and also signed Gus Malzahn to that same contract. Pickens and Blaylock need to step it up if Kadri isn't 100%. I don't disagree with that. I think both of those players are certainly capable of more. I think we're starting to see a little more familiarity between Jake Fromm and Pickens and Blaylock. I saw some amazing catches in that game. But one of the things that absolutely blew my mind was that catch that Bryant Harrion made. Oh, my goodness. That's probably one of the best catches I've seen in college football. I mean, it was just incredible. To be at that game when it happened, amazing. Oh, man, Jackson Porter's in here. He says, go Canes. That's a real fan for you right there. Cyrus, UGA not playing Bama. We need conservative. We need to concentrate on games they play. Try not to sneeze here. Whew. Let me go back to the main screen here. I want to do this one. So let's look at the games played. So you've got LSU sitting at 9 wins, Ohio State at 9, UGA at 8, and Clemson at 10. And the remainders of the schedule for these teams, Clemson's pretty much got a cakewalk. It's got the easiest way to stay in the top 4. Ohio State has got to play through Penn State. She wants. Okay, hold on one second. All right, guys. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm being paged for some unknown reason. So give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, guys. Had a boss lady call me. I got a super chat from Uncle Lou. Uncle Lou says, "Have you ever riding down the road and see one shoe in the gutter? That's Ulap." That's what I'm gonna call him now, is Ulap. Sorry about that, guys. Woo. Did I hear y'all right? Y'all are not very fond of y'all's head coach. Who are you talking about, Tim? SEC Dawg says DeAndre Swift was so wide open on a wheel route that he could have done a backstroke and been in the end zone versus Mizzou. Jake Fromm didn't see what everyone in the stadium saw, and that's a concern, Brett. Yeah, and I kind of addressed that. What's up, Extra? Jake Fromm has a bad propensity, at least in my mind, of picking out who he's going to throw to right out of the gate. And when he does that, I don't care if there's somebody standing in the end zone with nobody in 20 yards of him. He's going to throw to the guy he wants to throw to. Jake Fromm is winning the Heisman, and LSU is winning the national championship. Crazy, right? No, that's not a crazy thought at all. I mean, right now, I can't say that UGA's offense is on par with any of these teams, even in the top 6. What I can say is that I don't know that many of these teams' defense is on the same caliber as UGA. So it's a matter of which defense is going to win. UGA will pull the upset on LSU. Nope. A lot of people didn't think UGA could beat Oklahoma, and we did that. So, hate looking ahead, but you know what? Here's the thing. I mean, what's this? 3 years in a row, UGA has been in its own driver's seat. You know, in the college football playoff talks, 3 years in a row. I mean, you can't be mad with that kind of performance. You got to be willing to say, you know what, we were pretty good. We've got it good. Might as well accept it the way it is. All right, guys, if anybody wants to call in that's not ULAP, feel free to call in. Let me get over here to the number, 770-765-2428. You guys give us a call in, and we'll talk about why you think, if your team is not ranked in the top 4 and you want to make a legitimate argument, I'd love to hear it. ULAP, hurry up and make another account. What's the hold up? UGA, Uncle Lou is like the old man from A Christmas Story. He's like my old man was the famous furnace fighter. Uncle Lou is the famous troll fighter. Couple French Jefferson bumperses. That's what I'm gonna call all the trolls from now on, is a bunch of bumpuses. The bumpus hounds. Tope Daddy, what's your team, man? Are you Auburn, Michigan? What's your team? There he is again, man. Uncle Lou's quick. Oh, man. That guy's weird, man. The fact that I show up enough on the radar to cause that guy concerned and want to do something like that, it's flattering. Thank you. Right now, that guy's spamming to create another account just so he can get back in and join you guys. Some people just never learn, man. I do not have Instagram, sir. Richard LeCount sucks. He doesn't suck. He's getting better. You wanted that one, Platt. In Christ I Trust says, I hate to break it to you, Big Dog Brett, but my Tigers finna give you your second loss. Give y'all your second loss. That is entirely possible, but it's also entirely possible UGA will give you your first loss. I don't think anybody in this channel would say that I think Georgia's defense is better than Alabama's right now. Hey, Tim Mathis, if you get an opportunity, I don't know if you know this or not, but there is a Vol YouTube content creator by the name of Volunteer Roadshow, Bobby C. Catfish. The Volunteer Roadshow is a really good guy. You should go check his channel out. He has a lot of Vol he has a lot of Vol football players and Vol legends that play. That played that are on his channel pretty consistently. LSU is ranked, yeah. LSU's ranked 34. I think Alabama's is 31. OU's is 44. But so yeah, you're right. So CC Singh wants to know. It's a 1A and a 1. That's a 1A and a 1B. Fromm won't eat nothing. Yeah, that offensive line, I don't think that offensive line gets enough credit for protecting Fromm. He's only been sacked, in 3 games this year? Total of 5 times. 4 times, 5 times. 3 of them were in the South Carolina game. I mean, we did such a good job of throwing that game. And I mean, that the College Football Playoff Committee recognized that we were throwing that game. Isn't that nice? When you throw a game so bad that they realize it and they go, you know what, just put UGA in the top 4. We know they threw that game. We're just trying to keep Will Muschamp in fresh shoes, man. Fresh shirts and hair gel. Trying to keep that guy off the streets, man. Does anybody know what an Auburn graduate does with his degree? All right, Big Chungus. Let's not be too rough in the chat, my man. Try to keep it civil in here when we can. Most improved SEC team. Golly, man, I think you'd almost have to say LSU, wouldn't you? Or maybe even Florida. I'm a trolling truck driver. Eric, I'm going to call him T. Wyman. LSU, they got over the hump. They beat Alabama. It's something not a lot of teams have been able to do in recent history. So I'd say that's a pretty good encouragement. I think he went through the whole aspect of taking a quarterback who really was not that impressive last year, turn him into a Heisman Trophy candidate. He brought in the right talent. He did what he needed to do to get the job done. To me, that's the biggest marked improvement I can imagine. Sarah, I didn't. I may have gotten the email, but I have not seen it. What's going on, BLST? Thanks for joining the channel, man. Ohio State had a better loss last year than Georgia and got left out, and Georgia still has a shot. And they beat our behinds as a result instead of not being in the playoff. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. Arkansas, explain. Explain, Tope Daddy, explain. Ohio State is loaded with 5 stars and hasn't scored a point in the playoff for 5 years. Develop on it. Oh, golly. This is a favorite part of my show, is just kind of watching everything unfold in the comment section. It's like a live comment section. Georgia should fire Coley and bring back Brian Schottenheimer. There was people even talking about Bobo. But the question is it Coley or is it Smart? Or is it Coley and Smart? Or is it Smart and Fromm? Or is it Smart and Coley? Which is it? Because I find it hard to believe that it's any one of the 3 necessarily when I've seen so many times receivers wide open downfield. So could it be that Coley is calling a great game and the receivers are open and Jake Fromm is just missing them? He's just not seeing them. Is it possible that the plays that he's calling at some times whenever Jake Fromm is looking downfield, this is the wrong play and the guys are covered up? I mean, so to me, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But I guess what I have to look at the eyeball test and say is the offense is not as prominent as I would like for it to be. I think if we had the offense from 2 years ago and this defense, we would crush anybody we played, but it is what it is. I'm pretty close to Jasper. I'm just outside of it, sir. Kirby not so smart. He's had us in the playoff talk 3 years in a row, and I don't think very many teams can say that. I don't think Ohio State can say that. I know LSU can't. Clemson might be able to. Alabama can, and I think that's it. I think UGA, Alabama, and Clemson are the only 3 teams that the past 3 years have all been in the college football playoff talk. There are a lot of play where nobody can get open, but it's getting a little better. I think that it's getting a lot better. I think that there's plenty of times when players are open. Especially when I went to that game, I was surprised at how many players were open, because that's one of the great things about being at the game is that you can see the entire field. You don't have to just follow the camera. And there were some plays that UGA was running that I completely lost track of where the ball went until I saw a running back getting tackled 6 or 7 yards downfield. So anyone want to box with Uncle Lou? I think he wants to box with somebody. So you guys get that lined up with Lou. I'll take Lou in the first round. LSU not putting 45 points on our defense, and LSU's defense is trash. It's a possibility. I mean, I think it would be a lower scoring game. Bring Mark Richt as OC. No. A box of what? Listen, if you don't think our guys can separate, you got to watch a few more. You need to watch a little bit more tape. Our guys are creating space. Our guys are getting open. They really are. And when I say open by a good bit, like 2, 3, 4 steps sometimes. And Jake Fromm just isn't throwing to him. He doesn't see him. And when you go to if you go to a game, it is clear as day. I think Mark Richt is past his prime. I think Mark Richt is a lot like a Mac Brown. He had his day, and now it's over. Mike Bobo was pretty good. USU. What are you talking about, Micah? Tiger Raven, what's going on, sir? Welcome back to the channel. I think you posted something earlier, but I missed it. USU. What is USU? USU. Is that Umbridge State University? Is Bama season over? I think Bama season's over. I mean, unless something catastrophic happens, they're done. I mean, because see, here's the thing, so if you go back and you look at the Auburn game, or you go back and you look at 2017 season or whatever it was, where we played Auburn and lost, and then Alabama played Auburn and lost, and then we ended up playing Auburn in the SEC championship, and we beat the brakes off of them, and then we ended up playing Alabama for the national title. The reason that Alabama was able to get into the college football playoff as a one-loss team was because they had a much better strength of schedule. They don't have that this year, so they don't have any win that can prop them up. So while Georgia's one loss is bad, its resume is much better than Alabama's, because Bama still lost. Even if they lost to the number 1 ranked team in the country, they only played one ranked team, and the one ranked team they played, they lost. So yeah. Billy Boy says, is it just from, I don't know, you guys start Fields when you had him? Even without his running ability, he was still a better quarterback. Now, see, I disagree with that, Billy. I really wanted Justin Fields to be to be our guy. Uncle Lou said he doesn't want to fight anybody. You guys quit picking on Uncle Lou, man. Y'all going to make him mad. I said, does anyone want a box? Want a box of what? Playoff committee loves Alabama too much. I disagree. I think if they wanted Alabama in the college football playoffs, they would be there. I think that I think it would be very easy for somebody, if they wanted to say that Alabama should be ranked 5th and Georgia should be ranked, should be ranked 4th and Georgia should be ranked 5th because their one loss is to the number 1 ranked team, which they was within 1 touchdown score of. And you could argue that they probably would have won that game if Tua hadn't fumbled the ball in the first drive of the game. And Georgia's loss is so much worse. I mean, I if they wanted to argue that, they could. What's going on, Carson? Chiquita Jacobs. General Voltard, BA. I need to have Uncle Lou on as a guest. JW131220. I've had Uncle Lou on the show before. I've been on his show. Yeah. Don't mess with Uncle Lou's mom. His mom's been gone for I think 3 or 4 years now. Yeah. I mean, you might not have known, but now you know. So, Sarah, you better quit. You just over there picking on Uncle Lou. You know you ain't gonna do nothing but sit down and drink your coffee. How am I gonna send you this box then? Oh man. Some guy tried to get Uncle Lou to fight him at like a Walmart parking lot or something one time. So this is something, since we're on the subject here, this is something that I haven't shared with you guys. My mom actually passed away when I was 24. And so I kind of know how that feels. And so there's a lot of people on it that have lost family members. So we kind of don't go down that road. FSU versus Tennessee in the Independence Bowl. Ain't either one of them ever going to make a bowl. No, I don't, Sarah. I don't want to bet you. I do not. General Voltard, y'all. So, I've over the years, I've practiced with many different voices, and I like to do commentary and make my kids laugh by using different voices. And so, anytime I see something like that pop up, whether it's Bartholomew or General Voltard or anything like that, Cartman, Sling Blade, I can't help but run those things through my head, and I hear that sound and I can almost say it. I have a theory about the General. Anybody that's been on that much Rocky Top, he's crystallized somehow. Who do I think would win it all? Well, of course I'm going to pick the Dogs, but you're going to say if I pick the Dogs, I'm just being a UGA homer. If Tennessee makes a bowl game, General Voltaire will return from the dead. That's a possibility. Yeah, that skit is one of my favorites. If you take UGA out of the equation, and I had to pick a team right now, I would pick Ohio State by 14. Tennessee will destroy Vandy. They're horrible. Go General Voltard. Go Gators. Yeah, see, Micah's got some class, man. I like that. I like when I see that. Birthday in 93 days, February 15th. Tiger, why do you keep such a tight grip on how many days are left? My birthday is way closer than that, and I can't tell you how many days are left. Trolling is an art form. Yeah. So is painting with boxing gloves, but I don't think I could make a living doing it. Volunteers have done better since the Generals died. So, yeah, how much you want to bet LSU ain't winning the Natty? That Oklahoma defense, man, get real. There was somebody else that was talking about how it looks like the that Alabama's defense, Alabama and LSU's offense and defense both look like Big 12 teams. Uncle Lou is the GOAT. Jaden Thompson. LSU is Big 12, that's it. Big 12 champs, that's it. LSU needs some sort of defense. They do need some sort of defense. And I wish if they'd have kept some semblance of it, they'd be a lot better than what they are. But it really looks like they just said, oh, to hell with the defense, and we're going to do the best we can with the offense and just make that happen. And, unfortunately, it so far has worked for them, but I got a feeling they're going to run up against a team that plays a little bit of defense, and they're going to have a serious problem. So I'm going to take hopefully a few more phone calls here. There was somebody who called in earlier, but it was probably that butt flap guy. So anybody else wants to call in, the number is 770-765-2428. You can tell me what you think. You can ask me anything, football related or not. We can also talk about your team, whether it's the Dogs or not. And we can just kind of go there. I'll definitely be making a halftime stream for Auburn and for that halftime and after. BVD, what's going on, buddy? He says Big Dog Brett would kick Uncle Lou's behind in a street fight, although I would give Lou the edge in a troll fight. I'm a gentle giant. What can I say? I'm more apt to try and buy you a frosty beverage and resolve it that way. Slips on the A and ends up Big Mac. So BVD, how are you doing tonight, sir? I'm really hoping y'all's team gets it going in the right direction again, man. I hate to see y'all suffer the way you're suffering. Just don't roll any more cardboard cutouts out on the practice field, and I won't have any reason to fuss at y'all too much. Obed Garcia says, War Eagle. Smiles on is just your average PE teacher. There's also probably some truth to that as well. Carson says he has to go, man. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure having you guys on. BVD said he's doing well. Glad to hear that, sir. Glad to hear that. 28 degrees here in Central Terrapin territory. Well, I ain't far behind you. Right here in Central Dog Country, it is 32 degrees. So we ain't missing the mark by much. For those of you in the channel who don't know, BVD is another content creator. He makes videos for the volunteers. Go check his stuff out. He's been making content for a long time. When you go check his stuff out, you absolutely get his 100% opinion, unadulterated, unabridged, uncensored, raw input. And it is, he's a very real person, and it's awesome to see. What's going on, C-Dog West? I hope Tennessee hires BVD as their head coach. Man, if they did, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Wanted to confuse Burger King employees and refused to pull forward order Big Mac and cheese. That's funny. Don't hurt Lou, Sarah. Please don't hurt Lou. 44 the legendary says, hold on. So for those of you, there's very few teams that I really can't stand. Obviously, Auburn is one of them. I don't like FSU, but that's because of a person, not because of the team. And anytime that team loses, it makes him suffer. So that's why I cheer for them to lose. I'm not a Georgia Tech fan, just because I'm not. Sprechen Sie Deutsch. Ein, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, nein. Kommen Sie bitte. So yes, I speak a bit of the Deutsch. But the other team I can't stand is Nebraska. Nebraska is just one of those teams where Big Dog bred to Arkansas. No, absolutely not. No pig suey for me. One of the teams that I can't stand is Nebraska fans. Can't stand Nebraska. Can't stand Nebraska fans. Their teams just drive me. That team just drives me up a wall. RDA would be a terrible coach. Temper is shorter than Bobby. I think that might be the kind of intensity they need. BVD. Sarah, I think she meant to say I wouldn't dare hurt Uncle Lou. He's my buddy. But my wife, this is how I know I married the right woman. So my wife goes, I would absolutely not go back to Nebraska. You could turn me into a paraplegic and I still find a way not to go. You're trying to drag me there. Absolutely not. BVD hates Florida as well. That's because he's an intelligent man. But my wife just sent me a meme that's the maybe you guys can see it here. There we go. That probably helps a little bit. Studio lighting's messing it up. It says Nebraska will get a bowl of chili in front of the TV watching bowl games. That's pretty good. Can't stand Nebraska. When I was there, Nebraska was actually a pretty decent team. It was just their fans that were intolerable. I don't care what fan base you think you can't stand. These guys are by far so much worse. If you move to that state and you are not a Nebraska fan, it is going to be a problem for you. Well, BVD, I mean, I think you're an intelligent man. I wouldn't call you unintelligent. I mean, at least not to your face. I mean, we'd have to get you a soapbox, and then maybe I could. I'm just kidding, sir. Whew. Jade Thompson, I hate Clemson just for the fact they play nobody, schedule some games. There's a lot of teams out there that don't have very strong schedules. And what ends up happening, BVD has great dental hygiene. Another seldom heard statement. Oh, man. It made me lose my train of thought with that one, BVD. Oh, yeah, I remember. There's a lot of teams out there that when they schedule these games, they're scheduling them several years out. So when you put big names on the calendar, let's say you put an Oregon or a Notre Dame or a Michigan, and in previous years, Nebraska, you look at those teams and you go, or, Southern Cal or UCLA, and you actually play those teams, but whenever you play them, they're bad. I mean, there's nobody. Nobody's going to make me believe. What's going on, Doggy Jones? Nobody's going to make me believe that when somebody looked at their schedule 2 years ago and they saw Utah on it, they go, you got to watch out for Utah. That's going to be a good team. Nobody did that. That doesn't even make, that doesn't even make sense. So when you see that sort of stuff, you look at it and you go, yeah, Utah or App State's going to be ranked 25. Nobody picked that. Nobody picked Memphis at number 18. Nobody picked Cincinnati at 17. And if at the beginning of the season you would have looked around and you would have said, hey, by the way, when we get to week 11 or week 12 or whatever week this thing's on because of the jacked up bye weeks, you're going to say Baylor is going to be undefeated. You would, if somebody would have walked up and said, I'll bet you $500 that by week 10 or 11, Baylor is going to be undefeated, you would have taken that bet blindfolded. So, yes, you want to schedule ranked teams, and that's fine. But unfortunately, sometimes you just, what can you say? UGA beat Bama in the Sugar Bowl back in 2009. Well, I mean, that was a decade ago. Michigan fans are pretty delusional. So are Notre Dame fans. Somebody has a really interesting name. This double K person here, I don't know what that's all about. Jeremy Pruitt, the only man on earth that Josh Dobbs would not like an transplant from. Oh, man. Create a different scream name, dude. That's just wrong. Yeah. I need my moderator to get rid of that, please. Dwayne, there's a name in the chat section here that I don't really approve of. Can you make that disappear for me? I can't use the word hate for a team because of my faith. Well, hate's a strong word. Whew. So, let's see here. So we got LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Utah at number 7. Man, I can't believe anybody would have said that. Montana at number 8. That's another one nobody saw coming. Just come out of left field. Penn State at number 9. I would say is fine. Brett's C-Dawg West says, Brett, what do you think about Big Dog Jordan Davis eating Swedish fish last weekend? Are you talking about that horribly disgusting, smelly food? If he ate that he is either a better man than I or has no olfactory gland, because that is absolutely disgusting. Chiquita Jacob says, go Dogs. I agree with that. So, LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, UGA, Alabama, Oregon, top 6. I think we could all probably agree that makes sense. See you later, Artie. Thank you so much for tuning in, sir. But if you were to say Utah, Minnesota in the top 10, nobody would have believed you. Penn State, okay. Oklahoma at rank number 10, there'd be some confusion there as to why that happened. Florida at 11, that's plausible. Auburn at 12 is plausible. An undefeated Baylor at 13 is weird. Restricted call.
JC.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice...
What's going on, JC?
Fuck me, daddy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What an idiot. That's not Georgia at all. Don't compare my Dogs to any loser Atlanta team. Big Dog says, do you think the O-line and Cager will be anywhere near 100% on Saturday? I think that is key. That candy Swedish fish. Ugh. I don't know. I don't know what that is, sir. Under Armour is better than Nike. I agree with that. Yeah, I see that, Uncle Lou. I just realized it. So if you look at Lawrence Cager, they said he's going to be back. He said he's at practice today. He should be fine. I think one of the best things that they can do, I think Cager has got enough attention here in the past couple of games. They can actually use that to their advantage to pull over a safety or maybe a cornerback or pull a linebacker out of position and get some conflict of assignment and create some catches with Pickens or Blaylock or even D-Rob. Where do all these get their names from? I'm not sure what you mean there. But who has Brett called, Lou? That's a pretty good one. Cager is better than Wims. I think a lot of times these receivers have enough ability to go out and I think Cager's excellent. I saw Lawrence Cager coming over from Miami. The moment that I saw that, I thought that was a great asset. There's definitely been an increased focus on the wide receiver core. We've done some major recruiting there, but I think there's still a little bit of a disconnect between the quarterback we have, the play calling, and getting the ball to those guys. Do you think they use Cook enough? Yes, I think they use James Cook enough. See you later. See you later, in Christ. Thank you for jumping on. Billy Boy says UGA easily has the best. Easily has the best O line in the top 10. Whew. I would agree with that. I think they do an excellent job of protecting Jake Fromm, but we've got to create openings. In order to create openings, we used to use the run game to open up the pass game. Now we're having to use the pass game to open up the run game. Clemson 58, Miami 0. Wow. We got to go to cowbell country for your home state. Mississippi? How do you feel about a fullback? Anybody that can create plays is a... All right. This is not a restricted number. Let's see what we got. Well, if you guys go to call in and you're not going to say a name, you're probably not going to get answered. So Oregon has the best O-line in the country. I'd have to look more about that. Look into that more. Games and stuff says go Noles. We need to use Pickens more. I think that we're using Pickens where we need to. Keep in mind, guys, that the terminology that's used a lot of times, especially with wide receivers, is it being a 50-50 ball. So if you have a quarterback who the only thing he throws is 50-50 balls, you're going to end up with 15 catches out of 30, which is abysmal. So a lot of times you go for these high percentage passes that are short, and these guys are making those catches. And then every now and then you have to go for that big 50-50 ball, and you got to make sure those guys are out and open in space. Those guys, a lot of times, if they're not throwing the ball, I mean, there's nothing they can do. That's more of a Jake Fromm call. But I certainly think there's plenty of times where that 50-50 ball would have or could have been caught if it would have been thrown to those receivers. There's been several games here recently where Georgia has made the catch, kind of like that one in the LSU game, where Georgia has made the catch and it's come back off of a penalty or something along those lines. So I think that there is see you later, Radiant Noah. Thanks for jumping on, sir. I think there's been plenty of times where we are starting to see that show up. SEC Dawg is getting salty. You see these guys where they get out there and they catch a pass and it gets called back, or there's a 30 or 40-yard run that gets called back for a penalty. You can't hold that against the receivers, and you can't really hold it against Jake Fromm. But what you end up with is a play that really doesn't get counted that actually did happen and would have impacted the game in a dramatic fashion. So those things are happening, but unfortunately, there seems to be a reason here and there where those plays disappear. We have to be able to absorb those and overcome them and create more plays where they do count. So Blake West Music says, hey, I'm a Bama fan. Maybe we need to just stay out of the playoffs and focus on the road ahead and face Oklahoma in a New Year's Six. Maybe. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. Bob Stoops to FSU. Did he actually take the job? Did they say he went there? Bob Stoops addressed as a rumor 3 hours ago. Could be anything. Who has the best secondary in the country? Probably Ohio State, I guess. George Pickens did not line up on the line of scrimmage, which created the illegal formation on the touchdown. That may not necessarily have been his job to line up on the line of scrimmage. There was another guy over there that could have lined up. So, I mean, you got 3 receivers there. The other receiver, which is more experienced than Pickens, probably should have realized that Pickens was off and went ahead and just stepped up on the line. Those are the kind of things that senior leadership on football teams do that protect their team from stupid penalties like that. If you talk too loud, that's inappropriate to Atlanters. Give them the tickets. Yeah, Nick Lou Saban is certainly not happy about the not being in the college football playoff right now. And I mean, in all honesty, he kind of does have a point, and it's only fair that he goes out there and he vies for his team. But at the end of the day, strength of schedule matters. It just does. Did it freeze? I don't know. Did something freeze? My stream's running fine on my end. I don't know. Maybe it's on your end. The problem with UGA is its offense. I don't know what may be wrong from play calling, whatever. People baffle me, says Fifth. UGA is going to have to take a breath out of Jordan Hare pretty fast Saturday. That place is ridiculous. It is, but with Georgia's defense, Georgia has been playing very grindy games. Good grief, I can't even talk tonight. So when you're playing these grindy games, there were times sitting in the stand, even at Athens, where I was like, man, this is almost boring to watch. And there were other fans in the stands that were saying the same thing. This game is just boring to watch. It looks very vanilla, and it was grindy. And I think we're so used to seeing, and we were very fortunate to have, we were so used to seeing Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, Todd Gurley just bust loose for 60, 70, 80-yard runs. And whenever that happens, I mean, you get really excited. You're like, go, go, go. You're standing up yelling at TV, screaming, go, go, go. And you're not getting a lot of that this year. Brian Herrien is a good quality running back, but he's no Todd Gurley. He's no Sony Michel. He's no Nick Chubb. DeAndre Swift is basically having to play the feature back and carry all of the load. I don't know if that's because we're not able to create, a good seam in the A gap, B gap, or C gap, or get around the corner. But there's certainly something there that's not happening that was happening before. And believe it or not, DeAndre Swift and Brian Herrien both have lightning fast speed. They are both incredible athletes. But there's a miss there. Glad I could get thought out for you, Sarah. So, guys, we're going on at just after 10 o'clock here. It's been great to get on here with you guys. I always like talking with you guys and sorting everything out. I will be making a UGA Auburn video, and you guys will be able to see a little bit of this fella right here later. I think we're going to be able to put something together for for my board over there at Auburn.
Wishing that I could run away with you. Imprisoned by fear, just pull me away, pull me away. Secret flame.